Hello everybody, my name is Monster Dust and welcome back to another video. I apologize for how late this one is compared to the last one. My main problem was figuring out what kind of video I want to make because I've decided I don't think I want to make the tournament tier list. The whole point in making the other two was that those were tier lists for players who are often not represented in tier lists. If I were to go ahead and make the third one, it's gonna look about the same as everyone else's, frankly. But that being said, I didn't know what I did want to do, so it's taken me a bit of time to get to this point, where I've decided that one of the big comments on that original tier list video was, hey, I'm a gold player, I have trouble going against Lance, do you have any advice? So what I'm going to show you today is 3 different replays where I'm playing 3 different characters, a total of 6 different weapons, against Lance characters. And I have a lot of replays against Lance players, but I chose these ones specifically because of the big range of weapons I use across all of these, so that you know it's really dependent on the player. You can beat Lance with pretty much anything, it just takes knowing how to counterplay. I do want to say, as like a little disclaimer right now, that they will not be using their lance for the entire course of these replays, because obviously every character has 2 weapons. Sometimes partway through the match, someone realizes one weapon isn't working for them and they switch, and you're going to see that. I believe this second replay, Kaya versus Artemis, you'll see the Artemis switches to Scythe relatively early on, but I thought the footage that included Lance was important enough for this purpose of educating you guys that I wanted to include it anyway. So I'll shut up now, and we're going to get to this first replay. Azuri versus the strongest Lance character by far, Lord Vrax. And the match is going to start off pretty normal, you know, unarmed neutral air to see who gets the weapon. Vrax got the weapon, it happened to be Lance. I was very happy when I saw that, because I knew at this point that this was going to be the video that I made. And you see I got a nice little 3-piece string there, down air, recovery, neutral air. And it caught him pretty off guard. I went straight into that. That was 100% my fault. Please do not jump into Lance sidelights. That was a good dodge read right there. I did, I'm going to pause that. If you saw, I did a side light, I waited for his dodge back, and then I hit him with a side sig on Azuri. Again, that's not like a string even really, that's not a true combo. That was a dodge read. You'll have to just kind of figure out how your opponent is moving. I saw pretty early on that this guy was moving in a way where he was like dash in then dash out, so I knew he was going to dodge backwards. And now, abuse Qatar neutral air, because it will spike in most situations if you're above them. That's a very important part of this clip. I want to rewind to that, because a lot of people are scared of Vrax and Orion, especially when it comes to Lance characters. Vrax more than Orion even. I want to show you that I, with Azuri, with Qatar's the lightest weapon in the game, right here, I beat a Lord Vrax Lance down sig with a side air on Qatar's. You can beat Lance with any weapon. It just takes knowing the counterplay. Do not be afraid to challenge them, because if you become afraid to challenge them, that is exactly how they will win. That was another solid dodge read right there. I knew he was going to dodge again behind me or away from me in however he could. So I knew to do a turnaround neutral sig on Qatar's, and it caught him. I believe he switches to Lance again pretty soon, but he kind of gets to a point during this replay where he just like wants to prove that he's good or whatever, and he starts playing unarmed. So don't ever do that. Please don't ever get like that cocky or confident with yourself, because that is exactly, you're gonna see that's exactly how you lose a game like this. That right there is the exact advice I'm talking about. I don't even follow my own advice sometimes. I jumped into his ground pound. Don't do that. Just be patient. Don't be overly aggressive. When I say be patient, I don't mean be passive. but know how to counterattack and don't rush straight in if you know they're going to also rush straight in, because that's how you end up clashing or just getting hit in general. Runs into his own bomb, because at this point he's kind of panicking. As you can see by the amount of side lights and side airs he's going to start throwing out on Lance, which again, there specifically I jumped into. Weapon throws because he's not really expecting them. I notice around, well, I can't really say this rank because I don't know what rank the guy is because I was playing experimental at the time. But lower rank people are scared to fight unarmed unless they know they're going to get a kill like that. They're scared to fight unarmed, and therefore they won't often just throw away their weapon, so they won't expect you to do that either. And so I find that weapon throws don't work on anyone better than they work on lower ranked players. And here we're just going to have this unarmed pissing contest, essentially, until one of us kills the other. I like to include full clips, otherwise I would have cut it back during that last bit of Lance gameplay. But I just think it's good to, for educational purposes, for you guys to see how I play the full match, and not just how I play against his Lance. Right there, I thought he was going to recover, and I was going to hit him with that beautiful, beautiful downlight ground pound. He didn't. But it's always a good option. As you could see, there was not much he could do to fight back against it, except for a recovery. And a weapon throw is going to kill. And then you can hear I did the little Mountain Dew taunt right as he died. So big takeaway from that, again, was that moment where I hit him with the Qatar side air out of his Lance down sig. Do not be afraid to challenge them. Again, it may sound contradictory, but don't rush in either, because that will get you killed. Know your opponent. Know, like, to read their moves, know to look for how they move, know to look for how they attack, and you will be able to counterplay them pretty easily. I'm going to get this second replay going. I'll be back in just... Alrighty, and we are back with the Kaya versus Artemis fight. This is another one of those ones where he plays a lot of Lance very early, and I'm going to show you certain ways to counter it. And then he switches to Scythe near the end. Something you'll notice I did there, I did an unarmed neutral light on him, which a lot of people you would think are scared to approach Lance. But approaching Lance is exactly how you beat Lance when you have a short-range weapon like Qatars or unarmed. Because the only short-range attack Lance has is downlight. Other than that, you have to be a certain distance away from them for them to hit you. So if you stay right on top of them with a very close-range weapon, like unarmed, you are going to beat them almost every time. So let's let this continue playing. I read a jump there, and he didn't jump, and so now I know he's not going to jump, and I'm going to know not to go for that in the future. And I mean, sometimes during the course of the match, you're going to get hit when you try risky new things, and it's fine because it helps you learn your opponent. It helps you figure out exactly how they move. And here I'm going to hit him with a neutral air because he recovers into it. I noticed that he doesn't dodge after weapon throws, and there was no real reason for me to dodge after he threw his weapon because I knew I could. I'm actually going to rewind to what I'm talking about. You'll see he threw his lance. He didn't do a follow-up attack besides jumping. So I knew to use bow neutral light on him. I knew that was going to hit him at that angle. Whether he dashed in fully and was stacked with me, or he did a jump like he did, a neutral light was going to hit that. And then I hit him with a quick, I just rush over, or under, rather, the minion because I knew he did it during a jump, so it wasn't going to hit me when I was on the ground. And now we do this thing where we're trying to hit each other for a couple seconds, which is good, because that's another version of feeling out your opponent. You'll notice he's learning too. He's very much learning my playstyle during this match, because I tried to go for a neutral sig that last time. He didn't jump. I knew he wasn't going to jump in the future, so what did he do? He jumped this time. because he knew I was expecting him to stay on the ground. I did a down sig instead of a neutral sig because I was expecting him to stay on the ground. And he knew that. Again, it's just about watching your opponent, feeling out their playstyle. I should have done a neutral sig there, if I'm being completely honest, because that definitely would have hit. By the way, if you don't know, neutral light into side sig on Kaya's spear is incredible and will hit most of the time. They have to spot dodge almost immediately for it to not hit. Right there, he's learning, he's getting patient. And he's learning even more because he knew to do a reversed side air rather than to just go straight at me. And again there, I messed up my timing because he chose to be patient and stay back a little. I almost let myself fall straight into that. Nice little unarmed string. He's gonna go for, See, I didn't think he was gonna do what he did there. I fall to my death here, so it doesn't really matter. I thought he was gonna go for a side sig, which is why I was staying in the air for so long. Because I was just waiting, like, I know if I land on the ground, he's gonna hit me with a side sig, but he didn't. He ends up also getting into the air and hitting me with a down air. And I know this, I said this was gonna be pretty much a Lance countering video, but in between that, I do want you guys to know that, like, you need to know how to counter everything, you know? You need to know how to counter passive play. That's the end of that match. You need to know how to counter passive play, and you need to know how to counter an opponent who's moving sporadically. And by that I mean someone who's not just doing the basic strings, someone who's playing like they know what they're doing and they're feeling out your movement. Anyways, we're gonna get the third replay set up. It includes one of the best clips I've ever had. Hello again, this is actually my second attempt at recording this third clip. For whatever reason, my PlayStation decided to cut out a solid third of it. So what I'm gonna do is just record up to the Artemis's first death. So here we go, this is me as Taros against another Artemis. As usual, this is gonna start out with the typical, we both jump, one of us hits the other. The one who got the hit got the weapon. Alright, hit him with a nice unarmed side air. I see him go for the sig, I try to do the stomp side air. I hit him with a side light into down sig on Taros, which is fantastic, because I saw that he was charging his recovery, which is one of Lance's biggest weaknesses. Just the fact that they, if they want to go far, they have to charge that recovery for so long. It leaves them pretty open to getting hit. And this was funny because this was actually during a daily mission, which is why you'll see that I switched to Axe right away. This guy plays pretty smart. He avoids the down air. He avoids the recovery. But right there I get him with the neutral light. And this is where the first recording cut off. So I'm actually just going to transition this back over into that first recording since the rest of the footage is alright. So what you're about to see is the rest of that recording. But a neutral light takes care of it. I did the reading taunt because at this point I don't like how the dude's playing. And I will do that if I don't like how you're playing. Obviously everyone has their own play style, but you know, preferences. So right here, this is fun. He taunts because he thought he killed me, and then he got immediately hit with a side air. Don't get overconfident like that, because that is how you get killed. Hit him with a down sig, or neutral sig there, and then I knock him out of his recovery with my own recovery, and we both die. I knew I was gonna die because of how deep I went for that, and how far I was already falling, but I knew I could take him out if I hit him with that recovery as well. And that's one of Lance's biggest weaknesses, that if you're going to want to counter it, you need to learn how to abuse the fact that they take so long to charge their recovery. If they get hit by anything while they're in the middle of charging their recovery, it's almost guaranteed that they're going to die. So just remember that if you're too afraid to approach them off stage, do a weapon throw. Works just as well as anything. As long as you take away their recovery, they're always gonna die. So we both respawn, we taunt at the same time because that was just wonderful, the little exchange we had. He's back on Scythe. I'm pretty sure he stays on Scythe for the rest of the match. But, again, I like to include full matches, and the end of this match is just one of the biggest reads I've ever made on a passive player. It's just, it was very exciting to me because I don't like people who play passive. I feel like it's kind of a shitty playstyle. Again, people have their own preferences. I don't tell people how to play. But I tried to hit him with that wonderful slide charge down sig there. You'll notice I hit him with a recovery, and my second recovery should have been a lot lower and weaker because I had already used one. But what happened is that after the first one, I actually touched the wall and therefore immediately got my recovery back. You'll know I touched the wall because of the little dust clouds that appeared. I immediately got my recovery back and hit him with another one. And now we're very close to the moment. He's going to play very passive because he's afraid to play unarmed. Remember, we talked about this. They are too afraid to play unarmed, so they're never going to approach if they can't get a weapon, and they're going to start moving towards the weapon as much as possible. Here is the moment I'm talking about. He has spent the last 10 minutes running away from me, so I know he's going to continue to do that. And right now, with me jumping and him on the soft platform, his most direct way to get to the weapons on the hard platform is to jump over me onto the other soft platform. I recognize this immediately, and here is how you counter someone who is playing passive in the sense that they just run away from you. Immediately I do a turnaround side sig and hit him out of that first jump. He wasn't expecting me to read that. You'll notice he only used his initial jump off the ground, a dodge, and then one jump before the dodge in midair, and then the dodge. He had another jump, he had his recovery. He was not expecting me to read that, so he didn't do either. He just falls straight into it, and that results in the kill. So, I hope you guys have enjoyed watching. I hope you all learned something from this. Don't be afraid to challenge Lance, and learn how your opponent moves so that you can counter them, whether they are playing passive, whether they are playing aggressive, no matter the playstyle. Just watch how they move, and you'll be able to counter them. And that goes for any weapon you have trouble against too. I know this video was very focused on Lance, but you'll see during it, obviously with the Scythe that I had to go against and blasters, there are different things you'll have to learn to counter. And it's just a matter of watching how your opponent moves. Thank you guys for watching. I will try to make the next video a little sooner than a month from now. Thanks, guys.